It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Ritchie right to the rim, driving score!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here's your host, Mitch Harper, on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
It's going to be a late night at the Marriott Center for Senior Day, 8:30 p.m. as BYU gets set to take on number 10 Texas Tech. It's going to feel really late with the clock moving forward an hour tonight. Make sure to do that, folks. Move your. I mean, do you have to move the clocks forward anymore? Like, it's just everyone turns to their watch or their.
You like in your car, but outside of your car, who really has a clock on the side of their walls?
Yeah.
I hate daylight savings, Mitch. Have I talked about this? Part of the reason I moved to Arizona, okay, look, it's not part of the reason I moved to Arizona. One of the benefits of living in Arizona is no daylight savings.
Yeah.
And now that I've got a toddler kid, dreading tomorrow morning, Mitch.
Oh, that is going to be tough. Because early in my mind, I'm thinking, even though, again, the tip-off is at 8:30 p.m. tonight, 7:30 pregame, really it's kind of like 9:30 because it's just like we're moved ahead. But anyway, hopefully it's a fun night. It's going to be worth our while to stay up because I'll tell you, the last time at the Marriott Center, that was a 9 p.m. game against UCF, and I'm looking around thinking, BYU's down 36, and we're staying up late for this? Are you kidding me? Hopefully it's nothing like that. I don't think it will, Nate. BYU seems to get up in these spots for the big teams. I expect that AJ and crew are going to show up and have an opportunity to win this game. Heck, BYU's a favorite, Nate. Are you blown away by that?
I'm shocked because I think it opened to like a 2. Texas Tech, I think, was a 2.5-point favorite. BYU is currently a 1.5-point favorite where I'm looking at right now. Or no, they moved up to 2.5. So I don't know. Maybe they know something I don't. But
the wise guys.
The wise guys in the desert. But like the Marriott Center is a really difficult place to play, and BYU still has some star power in AJ DeBounza and Rob Wright. So it's not like BYU's a bad team. They're just in a little bit of a slump, but you can't. It's hard to quantify home court advantages in college because, it can be rocking one night and then completely dead the other night. You talk about the UCF game. BYU isn't in that game from the jump. I mean, BYU was down by double digits by the first media timeout, and then the Marriott Center is just kind of silent. And maybe this is a side tangent, Mitch, but I feel like the environment in the Marriott Center is kind of taken a dip over the last few years. We'll probably discuss the fact it's senior night and everything. That senior night that BYU had against Gonzaga in 2020 was one of the best environments I've been in for any sport. And there was a game a couple weeks ago, the game against Iowa State, that was a rockin' Marriott Center. But I feel like for the games against the UCF and hopefully not tonight against Texas Tech, but sometimes the crowd is just a little lackluster, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's that UCF game. I will give them a pass because there was nothing to get excited about that one.
There was nothing.
There were games, though, against Arizona and Houston where BYU fans were just trying to give that momentum to the team. And Arizona and Houston, great teams, always had answers. That Iowa State game, as you noted, that was a rocking crowd. I don't know if that was the loudest crowd. I know a lot of Cougar fans, maybe on social media and message boards, were saying that. I always look at that 2020 Gonzaga game.
Yeah.
2011 San Diego State, even some of the UNLV games in the Mountain West era, there was something about the student section being being on the sideline and really just taking over. And I think it's worked out going behind the hoop for the Rock. They get the chair back seats, and they still are as loud as can be. But I think that era where the student section was there base on the sideline, I thought those are some epic games, and they were really loud where they took over that entire lower bowl, and there was just so much energy in that in those games that sometimes those get forgotten. And look, time goes by and you just kind of forget the sheer volume, or maybe I'm adding to the lore of those times. But that Marriott Center, though, when it gets rocking and this fan base gets rolling and they feel the confidence and this team senses that, it can be an amazing atmosphere. And I get the sense that Cougar fans, even though they're maybe feeling, I don't want to say down and out, I think Cougar fans always will show up. But I think that they're going to try to help be that sixth man for this BYU team. So I expect a loud crowd for this one. And I was thinking about this too, Nate. 1 month ago today, BYU faced and hosted number 8 Houston. This is the 4th game since February 7th, 1 month ago today, 4 weeks ago today, that they faced the top 10 team. Number 8 Houston, they lost that game 77-66. They faced Arizona, number 4 Arizona in Tucson, 75-68. They beat number 6 Iowa State 79-69, and then tonight, number 10 Texas Tech. It's the Big 12. It's an incredible gauntlet and a buzzsaw, but it also speaks to maybe some of the recent struggles that this has been a really tough road that BYU's navigated, and it's the 3rd top 10 opponent since Richie Saunders went down with the injury.
Yeah, and I think that's something that fans have to kind of keep in mind too. Is it's easy to get down about the losing streak. BYU starts out 16-1 this season, and they've lost 9 of the last 13. But the Big 12 is just really tough, and it's historically tough because even the last 2 seasons, the Big 12 wasn't this good, this deep. The top of the league was this good because they had a Houston who made it to like the NCAA championship last year. But the Kansas hasn't been a regular Kansas, and even Texas Tech, they're a top 10 team tonight. The past couple seasons, they've been kind of hovering around that top 25 mark, but they haven't been elite like they are this year. And so I think it's easy for fans to get kind of sucked up into the whole WCC. You lose a game and you're kind of out of it. And BYU fans had the same feelings with football when they got into the Big 12 as, you lost a game and the season's done. But it's not done because you can still have a game like tonight where, yes, BYU's seed in the Big 12 tournament's set. BYU's going to be a 10 seed. That tonight's game doesn't impact that at all, but it does impact your seed for the NCAA tournament. So there's a lot on the line from that aspect because you're looking at potentially staying as a 6 seed versus if you lose and you don't perform well next week in the Big 12 tournament, you're dropping down to a 7 or potentially even a 10.
And I'm glad you bring that up too because I think a lot of people have brought up maybe that 8-9 threshold. Our good friend Robbie McCombs, he even brought this up on X, that 8-9 territory for BYU might not be in the cards because, as we know, BYU does not play on Sundays, so half of the bracket in the NCAA tournament is not available to BYU. Another bracketing principle for the committee, they like to avoid round of 32 rematches between teams that have faced off against each other at least once, or at least twice, in the regular season. BYU has faced Arizona already twice. Arizona is going to occupy the 1 seed, most likely, we would assume, in the West region, one of the regions that BYU can go to. So that 8-9 spot's not available. The 8-9 spot for the South region, expected to be, as of right now, UConn, the number 1 seed. They're expected to start their journey in a Friday-Sunday quadrant. So even though the South region is available to BYU, that 8-9 spot might not be available. So again, you get in this territory that if you continue to slide, get blown out tonight, which I don't think they will, but if they did get blown out, and then say, heaven forbid, you lose that Tuesday game against Kansas State, suddenly BYU could be a 10 seed, maybe an 11 seed. So that could slip in a hurry for BYU on seeding. They will be in the NCAA tournament. We've had some Cougar fans wonder, will they be in the NCAA tournament? Here's a stat for you that I think is really interesting. Since 2000, let's see here. Since 2011 to 2012, Big 12 teams with at least a 60% winning clip in the regular season. BYU currently 66% winning percentage. Since 2011 to 2012, teams with at least a 60% winning percentage from the Big 12 have reached the NCAA tournament 97.5% of the time. That's 78 out of 80 teams. BYU will be in the NCAA tournament. Heck, they might be in the NCAA tournament. Well, they will be in the NCAA tournament. If they lost tonight, it would be a losing record in the Big 12. They're currently 8-9. They would fall to 8-10, which would only be the second time or second time since 2006, 20 years ago, where BYU has a losing record in conference play. The previous occurrence was in 2023, BYU's final year in the WCC. A little bit different conference stretch in this year compared to those years in the WCC. So hopefully BYU gets some good vibes, gets some momentum heading into the postseason because this is the most important part of the season.
Absolutely. One of my favorite sites to visit this time of year, Mitch, is bracketmatrix.com. It doesn't show you a full-on bracket, but it kind of gives you an idea it compiles all of the different bracket projections to give you an idea for what seeds could look like. Looking at BYU's, Mitch, BYU appears in all 101 projections, which not a surprise. BYU's a lock for the tournament. Their average seed is a 6.81, so they're hovering around that 7 line. If that were to hold, these are the teams in the 10 line. There's TCU, probably not gonna play in the first round. Missouri, Texas A&M, and Texas. Now, if BYU were to say win tonight and perform well next week, and they move up to a 6 seed, you're looking at 11 seeds of Miami, Ohio, Ohio State, SMU, Santa Clara, VCU, Indiana. So
I like those a lot better.
I like those a lot better as well. I don't know if I would want BYU playing in Miami of Ohio, but we were talking a little bit before the show. Maybe that's not the death sentence I was thinking it would be earlier this week, because I have these nightmares of BYU in the 6-11 matchups where BYU is playing a first 4 teams of UCLA or Michigan State, and then UCLA runs off into the Final Four, and they've played Duquesne, and Duquesne is supposedly overseeded, so BYU has
Yes.
kind of a gimme game, and then BYU just gets roughed up.
And then LeBron gives them free shoes, and they become America's team. It's like, oh, geez, Duquesne's now suddenly this trendy team. Yeah, no, I get that. I was watching that Miami, Ohio team last night. They completed their perfect regular season. Not going to lie, I would love a chance for BYU to face Miami, Ohio, because that team doesn't play a lick of defense, and we know BYU struggles on the defensive end. BYU could outscore a team like that. And I must say, too, Miami, Ohio, I support that they need to be in the tournament. They went undefeated. I don't care what conference you're in. You go undefeated in college basketball an entire regular season, you deserve to be in. But I'm not going to lie, the way that they handled their victory last night to complete their undefeated regular season, a little bit classless at the end. Some of the choice words their players were using to, I guess the Ohio fans were not the kindest to them, but it's like, this lovable underdog is not as lovable as maybe I thought now. So sign me up for a BYU Miami Ohio matchup, and let's see BYU in Miami Ohio's perfect season if that gets the opportunity for the Cougars. But a lot of opportunities, and the first thing they got to do tonight is try to take down number 10 Texas Tech. We'll dive into the matchup a little bit further, and also give you an update on what the Big 12 tournament bracket looks like. Some games have gone final in the Big 12 today. Let's get to that next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.